You guys, closing arguments have arrived. Did you think they would ever get here? I did not think for real that they would ever get here. I mean, honestly, I didn't think we would ever get to the point where the trial would start. And I was like, yes, it started. And now I'm like, I don't think the trial's ever going to end. But little by little, slowly, we are in closing arguments. But first, before closing arguments started this morning, the jury had a jury view. That means they went on a little field trip out to Moselle, and they couldn't ask questions, and the judge was there, and the lawyers were there, and the jurors could not talk to each other or the bailiffs or anybody, but they got to go and put their feet on the soil and walk around and get a sense of the place. And then after they left and they were safely tucked away back in their van or whatever, then all the reporters, the print video and the whatever, all the reporters went. And so the footage that the reporters shot, I just watched it a few minutes ago. That's why I'm late posting this tonight, because there was a lot of research to do. Because I kind of do research, AKA look at stuff on the internet before I come and bring the news to you fine people. So, couple of things. First of all, the reporter from the New York Times, not the New York Times, the Washington Post, who's there on scene at Moselle, said that like where Maggie's body fell and where Paul's body fell, I'm not sure if it was 12 feet or just like 12 footsteps apart. Oh my God, I had no idea it was that close. Also, they had a picture. I mean, I'd seen like a still picture, but they had a video picture of inside the feeding room. It's teensy, and the house seemed very far away. I think the defense thought that jury view was going to help them out. I think it might have helped the prosecution, especially when Creighton Waters wove into his closing that Maggie was running towards her baby. Can you imagine? You hear gunshots, you turn around to see what's going on, and she's running to save her child, and then her evil husband shot her down. Or at least that's the story that the prosecution is telling. Listen, Creighton Waters, I do not think he's done a perfect job. Some people say he's done a terrible job. I think it's been fine. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been a juror a couple of times, and frankly, I think it was fine. Here's the thing, though. The closing statement that he delivered today was a tour de force. I'm telling you, I think he did a fantastic job. Now, did he spend a lot of time on the financial crimes? Yes, he spent a lot of time on the financial crimes, but there is a method to this man's madness. Remember way back at the beginning of the case, when the jury first was seated and the court case first started, and we were all living under the delusion that this trial was only going to take 3 weeks, every day for the first week, Creighton Waters left that jury on a cliffhanger. Every day, he left them with the sound of his voice ringing in their ears with something really meaty to chew on before they went home and went to bed for the night. So I think that's what he's doing with his closing argument. And the way it works is the state goes and makes their case first, and then the defense says, well, no, here's all the reasons why the state is wrong. And then the last voice that those jurors hear is the state's voice. They get to have the final word in this. So what Creighton did today was they puttered around this morning with other stuff. And then he started his closing statements today by talking about the big picture and then the financial crimes. And then he drilled down into the murders, the timeline, the guns, the family guns, the ballistics, all this stuff. And he left them with Alec telling a lie to SLED. That's how he closed the day out. Now, those jurors get to go home and just marinate with that in their head. Tomorrow morning, they will come in and the defense will get up and say, he didn't do it, and here's why, and the state has a terrible case. And then after he sits down, the state gets to stand up and reiterate their points again. And the reason that the state gets to go twice is that they have the burden of proof. The defense doesn't have to get up and say anything at all. The state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, though not beyond the shadow of a doubt, but beyond a reasonable doubt, that Alec Murdaugh did this crime. And you know what? I think he did the crime. Everybody everywhere is saying this is going to be a hung jury. It's just going to be a hung jury. Pundits far and wide are saying that this jury will hang. My question is, can Alec Murdaugh be convicted in Murdaugh country. Murdaughs have run that county for over 100 years. Is this case, will it be a new day down there in the low country? Will the reign of the Murdaughs end, or will like long-term corruption continue? Who knows? It's a cliffhanger. We have to wait to find out. Did you notice yesterday that Dick Harpootlian seemed to be in a little bit of a nasty mood? And he was very like, when is this trial going to be over? Dick, you're channeling us all, because we were like, when is this trial going to be over? You know what I forgot? Dick and them had to move out of their hotel over the weekend. They had rented this super fancy shishi resort with like a private chef, and they just rented out the whole place for $20,000 a week and kicked everybody else out. And it was very luxe accommodations because they had planned on only a 3-week trial. Well, that time has come and gone, and that venue was booked out for a wedding. So now Poot Poot and them are staying at the Motel 6, the Super 8. I don't know where he's staying. I mean, listen, I did my research. I looked up hotels down there, and like the nicest you could find is like a Holiday Inn for $200 a night, which, okay, that's all well and good. But when you're used to $20,000 for the week, $200 a night, not going to be up to snuff. Is there a private chef over there cooking him his dinner every night, his breakfast every morning? I'm going to go with no. I think he's going to be down there at the waffle bar with the unwashed masses, taking the tongs and putting his toast in the toaster and pouring those plastic cups full of batter into the waffle maker and hoping to get a Belgian waffle. You know he is not happy to have to be with the regular people. Poot Poot is not having that. He does not hang out with regular people. He goes on TV and smiles and talks to them, and then he leaves them over there because regular people, that is not his style. Here's the thing, though. Also, I wonder if Creighton Waters, they've been staying at the Super 8 the whole time because, you know, they on the States dime. He's used to the $65 a night hotel. He would be thrilled to have one of those little waffles down in the lobby with the unwashed masses. You know, he's over at the McDonald's drive-thru. And wait, my phone's ringing. Okay, that is not his style. Not at all. So he's rough and tumble. He's down there. He's doing what he got to do. He gonna get his McMuffin, and he's gonna go on and do his court case. But you know what I suspect? Based on some of the things that Creighton was saying in his closing, I think he's looking at the internet. I mean, frankly, I think they're all looking at the internet every night. But some of the points that have been made in Creighton's closing have been things that have been wildly popular on the internet. For example, he talked about Alex's body language, how he nods yes and says no, or like when they say, did you love Paul? And he nods his head no, and then says, like no other. It's like, okay, Creighton, you've been looking at the internet. We see you. And so I'm like, what other things is he learning from the internet? Also, two other things. Number one, the timeline, the calculations on the timeline that the state had come up with, they did some of their math wrong. You know how they discovered that some of their math was wrong? There's a woman on the internet called Brandy Churchwell who created the Churchwell chart. Let me tell you a secret. I came up with the name Churchwell chart. See, I was sitting on the toilet, you didn't need to know that much, but I was enjoying my morning internet scroll. Okay, I call it a poop scroll, but I was scrolling through the internet and I see this Brandy Churchwell has made a chart. And then I was like, well, that is the Churchwell chart. And so I tweeted at her, which, you know, I don't know how to tweet. I barely can Twitter. I can't do it. But I was like, this should be called the hashtag Churchwell chart. Go look it up. Look at your history. Because I do not lie. My old Twitter name was One Black Mom. No, One Brown Mom. And then now my new Twitter name is Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo. And if you ask anybody who came up with Churchwell chart, that is me. Gossip, Rumor, and Innuendo came up with that title. Anyway, so I said to Brandy Churchwell, girl, you should call this the Churchwell chart. And so she started making the Churchwell chart, hashtag Churchwell chart. And then she's been updating it all through the trial. And it was through her math and breakdown that she discovered a math error in the state's case. And so it got sent to them, and then they updated the record to show that the Churchwell chart had the information right, where the court had the information wrong. Also, in social media news, there's a juror, not sure if it's a main or an alternate, who said to a coworker, Alex is not going to be found guilty. I guarantee you 100% he will not be found guilty. That jury will hang before he is found guilty. Well, the fact that a juror on this case has said something to somebody else, every day Judge Clifton Newman says, do not discuss the case. Well, an email came into the court, and word on the street is that that juror will be removed. So much scandal. Okay, so that leaves us down to, if this one juror goes away, if that rumor turns out to be true, which who knows, I suspect that it is, but I do not know. If that turns out to be true, then that takes us down to 13. They started with 3 or 4 extra jurors, and now they're down to like maybe 1 extra juror because 2 people got COVID. When a trial goes on for a super long time like this is the risk that you run. Jury attrition, they call it. We'll see what happens. Because we're at like the finish line, we'll see if they can make it all the way through and then deliberate. I also wonder if they start deliberating tomorrow. I guess they're going to deliberate tomorrow. Will they be done by Friday? Will it be a fast verdict? And my understanding was that there was a lot of women on the jury, like a lot. Something tells me that all those ladies on the jury, there was way more women than men. Something tells me that a lot of those ladies are not going to take kindly to the way that Dick Harpootlian talks to women and the way that he treats women and says things like, oh, Special Agent Worley, what's so special about you being an agent? Okay, Dick, this is not 1954, and I'm going to need you to get your attitude all the way together. Grandpa Poop Poop needs a nap. He needs to get his fine hotel back, or he needs to go back over to Charleston or wherever he lives. I don't know cities in South Carolina. I really don't even know North Carolina from South Carolina, because anything south of Hoboken is the South, as far as I'm concerned. That's a New Jersey joke. Get a map if you don't know what that means. Anyway, finally, Moselle is pending sale. So Moselle, the place where the murders took place, has been up for sale. There's beautiful pictures of it on the internet. They washed away all the blood and everything. You can't even tell that a murder took place there. I can't see living there. I just can't. But also, first of all, it's 1,700 acres. That's a lot of grass to cut. It's a hunting camp. I do not hunt. I do not like to camp. There is nothing there for me to do. I love nature. I think nature is amazing. I want to look at it out a window from a nice hotel room. That is all the nature. You send me a nature picture, nature photography, well, I will hang it on all my walls. Get me to walk in some nature? No, thank you. That's not my gift. That is not my gift. Also, mosquitoes enjoy my deliciousness way too much, and I am allergic. But Moselle has been sold. They're waiting for it to close. But here's the thing. In this case, you've heard them talk about Barrett Boulware, right? So Barrett Boulware was a friend of like a bunch of people over there at PMPD. He was also a drug runner. But since he's dead now, we just gonna let that go. So Barrett Boulware died of colon cancer, pancreatic cancer a few years back. While he was dying, he ran out of money. His finances were in a mess. I guess the drug business does not offer you a pension. He was out of cash. His wife needed money to be able to like stay near him while he was in the hospital. So he started selling off some of his properties. Well, a lot of the lawyers, including but not limited to Ronnie Crosby, bought land from Barrett Boulware so that they could put money in his wife's pocket so she could pay for his final expenses. While he was dying, Alec Murdaugh stole Moselle from him for a teensy little cheap price. So let's get this straight. The landing strip at Moselle was used as part of her drug running operation. When the main drug running dude got sick and died, Alex Murdaugh stole Moselle from him. And then he and his family lived there. And then Alec Murdaugh went on to murder his wife and son there on the property. Tell me that property is not haunted. There is not enough sage on the planet to cleanse the evil from that place. You could get a priest, you could get an exorcist, the Buddhists could show up, the evangelicals could come and speak in tongues. Everybody could show up. You could cast out all the demons in the world, and you couldn't get me to set foot on there. Forget the pollen, right? Oh, and there are wild hogs. Lots and lots of wild. And apparently, people were telling me down in my comments, wild hogs kill people. Now, that could be handy if you need to murder somebody, right? Like, that is an excellent way to get rid of a body. But generally speaking, no, thank you. No, thank you. Although it would be organic game if you were into such things. I am not. I want my food to come from the place where the Lord intended it, the ShopRite. Sometimes Whole Foods, but that is about it. Okay. It is very late. I need to get to bed. Excuse me. Ooh, I might need a popsicle because my throat's a little dry. Y'all, everybody be safe. Get a good night's sleep. We have to be up tomorrow for court. There's more closing arguments and possibly deliberations. I'll see you in the morning. Bye.